Hey YouTube, this is Nashtaters. Welcome back to another episode of War of the Visions. So today I want to do part 2 of my coverage from Halloween. On that day, I actually decided I want to do my top units from each element that I highly recommend folks to think about building as their first unit representative of that element. So today I'm going to go ahead and finish off the last 4 elements and maybe talk about some other news in the game as well. Alrighty. So some news cleanup. Yesterday I was doing a multiplayer and I joined a room for Damsel in Distress EX quest. And I had a very hard time finding a room because, it's a new quest, so it's very popular and rooms fill up quickly, right? But in this one room I actually got in finally, there was only 3 of us and a 4th person joined, but this 4th person brought in a unit that generally speaking people don't like to keep, as a multiplayer. And it turned out that unit was a tank. And honestly, I thought maybe the host was just gonna remove that person, but that person did not. And for me, it really kind of brought a smile to my face because the community is still very good, right? Because, people's behavior is still respectful, and people are still accepting that people are willing to bring whatever unit they wanted for farming items. I think a lot of times people are very quick to remove you from their group, especially in these type of situations, because they want to quote-unquote farm things faster. They wanted specific units for you to bring and progress fast and super fast. And for me, it kind of, like I said, it really enforced the idea that there's still a lot of good people out there. They're very kind and generous to others. So like I said, that kind of put a big smile on my face yesterday. So let's go ahead and continue with this discussion of my personal top unit for each representing element. And we left off on lightning. Now obviously it's not a good idea to talk about units that are collaboration because a lot of players will feel left out. But if I was to actually choose, including all units in the game, I will clearly choose Orlando. I know there's not a lot of fans out there who are huge fans of Orlando, but there are also a lot of people who are not fans. And that's fine. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to actually choose Salir. Because Salir is actually very, very useful in terms of PvE. She can be competitive in PvP, but I think people are learning more and more that PvP is really geared towards units that are not as squishy, can do a lot of damage, and also can take a lot of damage. Salir, unfortunately, isn't one of those units. But in PvE, she is a beast and someone to be reckoned with. In terms of clearing the Porcelain Tower, I used her quite a bit. Because of her magical damage, a lot of units and monsters who are weak against magic were just getting one-shot. And if they weren't getting one-shotted, they were near death, so that another one of my units can go in and kind of clean up. She also can be a very good supporting unit with her heals, and overall she's just a great unit. And she's only an MR quality unit, but she definitely acts and can deal out damage like a UR unit. In fact, she's so good that you can argue that Skahala could be totally ignored. Now I know there's a lot of good things about that unit as well, but for me, Skahala is an easy pass, actually, believe it or not. Okay, let's work on water. And this is one element that I'm severely lacking. Obviously Eldyra here, there's Glaciala here, and I don't really have too many water units. But I think that also part because the game itself hasn't really released too many water units. So ultimately, I don't have a lot of experience. I did play with Eldyra obviously quite a bit, but I never have any access to Glaciala because that's one unit I actually never summoned for. But my firm belief is that Glaciala is probably one of the better units for water representation because she has a guaranteed hit and she can hit pretty hard and she uses a spear, which not a lot of people anticipate in terms of defense against, at least not right now. maybe when Kane is released, we're going to see more of a meta shift in terms of against piercing units. But currently, they're just probably still not enough piercing units to warrant people to really heavily build cards and espers towards defense. So honestly, if I was to really choose between the water units that I own, I will probably pick Zazan, believe it or not. And not because he's a meme, and not because he, I just want to promote him. Even though for a long time I actually did promote him, but he was very useful and can still be useful today. Obviously, he's a normal quality and is only the normal quality unit in the game, and he's super easy to awaken. Unfortunately, I still decided to save the last 2 rainbows to awaken him because so far he has done the job of not needing to be awakened. However, there's a possibility that we're going to be getting a UR version of him. I believe he might be the winner for global in terms of popularity. So crazy, because sadly enough, I actually never voted because I was just too busy with things to actually participate in that. And I think I remember trying to vote, but I always end up forgetting to vote every single day. But I really want to thank for all those folks that did vote, and if he truly is the winner, I'm really happy. But because of the fact that he has one of the fastest movements in the terms of longest distance movement, so that makes him like a really, really good unit in terms of just get into the heart of things, charm someone, and quickly run out as fast as possible. Unfortunately, he's very squishy. So personally, I don't think he's super viable in certain situations like farming. Obviously, he's not going to be very good, but he's going to be very good in terms of match play, right? Because of the fact that he has such a long distance, you can get into the face of your enemy and charm one of them, hopefully, and there you go, turn the tide about. In terms of super hard content, unfortunately, his survivability is in question, so therefore, generally speaking, he will die. But if you can manage to keep him alive, he can really, really do a really fine job in terms of charming people. And then people are learning now, charming is actually very strong, probably one of the strongest mechanics in the game, because essentially it switches your enemy units to join your side for 3 turns. A lot of times those units, if done correctly, can wreak a lot of havoc. For example, if you manage to charm, for example, the Behemoth or the Marlboro in the EX quest in the Porcelain Tower that's going on right now, the Behemoth actually has a 1 kill mechanic in which if it lands, boom, it just kills that unit. Marlboro has the huge array of arsenal of status ailments, right? You can turn enemies into toads, petrify them, which is ideally what I want them to do, paralyze them, sleep them, whatever. So it could be pretty interesting and actually very entertaining to watch if Zazan is in the mix and getting things done. Now, this is what I feel like are 2 of my favorite elements in the entire game: light and dark. And the reason being is because a lot of the gacha games I play, they usually value light and dark as quote-unquote premium units, because most games who tend to not have this many elements in the game only has a few, right? They have fire, they have the green, and they usually have blue. So that's usually the 3 components of elements they use, and then of course they have light and dark. So games like Summoner's War, Epic 7, they usually kind of make those light and dark are the units that people usually try to go after. So for me, I guess this is this feeling that I naturally have a drawn towards light and dark. In terms of light in this game, I feel like it's mostly defensive units, right? Warrior of Light, Engelbert, Ramza, Mashiri, Grace. These are all units that are very, very good at support or very good at tanking. And then once in a blue moon, you have this guy like Rob, who can actually do a lot of damage, but he's also very squishy. So that's kind of a rare thing, right? And then of course you have Mistral, who is actually a very disruptive unit of the light character or light element. And of course recently we got Marielle, which is a very, very good attacking unit, believe it or not. And she can actually be a tank as well. So very tough choices to make here. And of course there's Thancred here, which is a premium unit. But let's not talk about Thancred because he is a premium unit, right? And unfortunately, Warrior of Light is also a exclusive, and same thing with Ramza. So that kind of leaves me in a very tough bind here. So for the sake of covering all units, I will personally go with Warrior Blight. Reason being is he is probably one of the best tanks in the game. He has served me well in all facets of this game. And he's good at tanking, he can do decent damage, and he can be actually a disruptor as well. So he has a lot of skills he has access to really make him shine. But if I was to actually choose one that is not of either exclusivity or, you know, a premium unit, I would pick Grace. And the reason being is she has very good innate resistances, and you can actually build her to the point where she can be completely resistant towards one of the attacks, forms of attack, right? Whether it be slash, piercing, etc. But where she truly shines is against magic. You can stack enough magical power or resistance that she pretty much takes no damage. And who wouldn't enjoy that in specific content? Especially if 3 of your opponents on defense, whether it be Guild Wars or Arena, are all magic dealers, you could just send her in, she's just taking in all the damage. On top of it, she has full arsenal array of being a white mage, including full life and all the heals. Unfortunately, her damage is very lacking, even though she has access to Holy, one of the best skills in the entire game. Now, in terms of dark element, it seems like it's all about attacking and killing things and doing lots of damage. For me, there are a lot of choices here, obviously. And recently, I got access to KOR on my main account here, as you can see, and actually I got him twice, believe it or not. I was able to get him in front of the rare tickets, and then I got him again from another rare ticket. So I'm moving quite well in terms of getting him limit broken, but unfortunately I'm just really shy in terms of dropping 500 gems every time I see 5 shards, because there's so many other projects I'm working on. However, he is going to be probably one of the units that I really will try to push for if I have different opportunities to do so. And one of them will be, if they give us another opportunity to get more shards in terms of 1,000 pay gems, I will definitely do that. I'll probably get enough to get him to at least, limit break 4, so he'll be 89 and he'll be very competitive. Now bear in mind, this unit is so good, he deals so much damage that even at maybe say 60s and 70s, he can start doing his fair share of the workload. In fact, even at level 42, I take him on my normal farming routines, like the story mode, and even through all the different hard modes for the unit shards to grind, and he has no problem surviving. And I know he's tend to be on the squishier side, but you can actually build him to the point where he is actually very good at sustaining himself. Now, unfortunately, it does narrow down to me forcing to pick a unit that perhaps isn't exclusive and or of a premium quality. And that pick will have to go to Venera. And here's why. Venera is so good in this game in both terms of PvP and PvE. She is definitely like one of the better units, if not one of the best units in the entire game. Her high dodge makes her super viable in terms of PvP, because if you're not ready to participate against evasion teams, you're not going to get many hits on her. And chances are, by the time her evasion buffs wear off, you probably have half of your units killed. And if you have really strong tanks like Warrior Blight, she can pierce through those guys, slice and dice them like butter, like a hot knife through butter, literally, because she has defense ignoring effects. Then on top of it, she has poisoning effect, which is really detrimental against tanks as well. And then she also has very long range attacks if you choose dual gunner, which seemingly a lot of folks are actually leaning towards now. In fact, I've done that, and I've seen it happen where a Venera actually can wipe out an entire team simply by using dual gunner effects. Very interesting. But she's also very good in PvE, especially in the tower, where she has the ability to cast Doom upon chance, and that's very good against really tough to kill units. And on top of it, her high evasion can make her super viable there as well, because, well, she doesn't take any hits, she doesn't die. So definitely my personal pick. If you guys have access to her as a beginner or a mid-game player, I highly recommend building her. Now, I think the runner-up would be definitely Ziza because she has one of the best Trust Masters in the entire game. The bell could be equipped to anybody who really are AP hungry. Just bear in mind you need at least 50 faith in order to successfully trigger that ability every single time. So 50 faith is the magical number. Alright, so I think that they had a good coverage on all the units that I like to cover. If you haven't seen the first part, go ahead and do so. That was released on Saturday, Halloween. And there were some summonings in there I wanted to. Let's go ahead and do maybe 10 summons just for the heck of it. Because I enjoy summoning. Summoning is very fun. Very, what's the word? Very surprising, right? You never know what you're gonna get. Let me see. Oh, I already did the MR ticket. So let me see how rare. Yes, I do. Let's just do 10 for the fun of it. Obviously, Super Sexy Turn would be nice. Another 40 shards would help. But I think I still want Keto Faye. Because she's still going to be one of the better units in the entire game in terms of even PvE. Even though Howlett and Little Leela kind of putting her in check in terms of PvP. But I still wouldn't mind Keto Faye and slowly building her for PvE content. Because she's tanky mage, and why would anybody not enjoy the concept of a tanky mage, right? Okay, looks like it's boiling down to the final one again. Here we go. These rare tickets have been very lucky for me. Victoria shards, alright. So I'm very one step closer to finishing her off, actually, so. Not too shabby. Okay, that's all the time for this video. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank you for the continuous support. And remember, time's your most valuable resource, so use it wisely. And as always, take care of yourself, all your loved ones, Nashtaters, and this family out of here. Peace out. Have a great day.